We have time here? We are. So probably many of you have seen me or we talked probably briefly at some familiar places, but before we jump in, we're going to talk about ERPs today, and we're going to dive into one specific ERP that we support called Business Central. Now what I will say is that Business Central and ERPs are holistically the same thing. It's like different CRMs do the same functional thing, but they have different components, right? So what I'll show you today can be done in most other ERPs. If you've ever heard of SAP, NetSuite, Oracle, but some of those tools. So just keep an open mind here that I'm a little bit biased to Microsoft because that's who we support, but it doesn't mean that there's other tools out there that may meet your business better. And what I've told everybody is that our company is a true partner. We want to advise you and your business on where to go. We're not product pushers. So if you guys have a need that's specific and something else can help you, we're always happy to consult and help you understand that. But like I said, we're going to dive into ERPs, talking about a small ERP called BC, which is really good for small to mid-sized businesses. It can scale up to $1 billion, but really it's meant for any company to do about $5 million to about 100 to 150 million a year in revenue. Okay, so let's dive in. Today's agenda, I'll just quickly talk about who we are, who am I, and I'll also dive into disconnected systems, what that pain point is, and how that creates disconnected decisions. I'll talk about what is Business Central as an ERP. I'll do some live demonstration today on that ERP and how it works. We'll talk a little bit about AI automation inside of the Microsoft ecosystem and inside of your tool. And we'll wrap up with Q&A. I know we're a little bit smaller group, so if there's questions, just jump right in, raise your hand. I want to keep this as open of a dialogue as we can since we have this opportunity together. Just a little bit about our company. We were founded in 2019 with a simple mission statement that we believe in innovation through technology and training. We do a lot of data automation, so a lot of us have disconnected systems. There's some great tools on the market that can pull that information together, clean it, and make it more accurate. We talked about that in one of our previous breakouts. We also are a Microsoft and Lenovo partner. We resell all their products and we can get discounts. We've worked over 100 successful projects, probably close to 250 now, and we do work all across the Microsoft ecosystem, so SharePoint, Copilot, Exchange Online. For myself, my name is Tim Blake. I've been supporting rep agencies for the past 2 years now. I also support Fortune 100 companies with adoption and planning processes like Blackstone, Johnson & Johnson, Prudential, Estee Lauder, IQVIA, and so on and so forth. And really kind of our goal here is to help you figure out the best tools that can help you work more diligently. So I want to talk about just one key point before we get in, and I want you to think about how rep firms operate today and what happens when we have disconnected systems and what that can lead to. So let's think about, again, how most rep firms operate. Sales thinks there's 1,200 units available based on last year's updates they saw. The warehouse or manufacturer portal shows 950. A rep has already promised 1,500 units to a customer, and purchasing and production, where do they fall in this? They're only planning around 800. So none of these numbers truly line up, and it's not because people in the organization aren't doing their job. It's because most of these systems that you rely on aren't connected. You have your own CRM, you have your own inventory reports, you have POS data, you have commissions, you have financials, you have your accounting software, and they're all in different places. Each team is working from their own version of truth, but how do you really bring these into one place? And the impact is real. You have overpromised orders, you have awkward customer conversations, you have delayed shipments, you have commission disputes, and consistent back and forth just to figure out what is actually happening. Leadership is left having to make a decision based on what this means, and that's exactly where an ERP fits into this. It brings orders, inventory, purchasing, commissions, financials all into one connected system, but with ERPs, it does require a lot of setup, a lot of discovery, and a lot of financial investment. So always keep that in mind. So what does this look like for a rep agency specifically? Sometimes you're looking and you're saying, orders are somewhere. Where are they? Maybe they're in the CRM, maybe they're in an Excel sheet, maybe they're in a tool that we use that helps us with it. Inventory depends on who you ask. Is it on a truck? Is it in a warehouse? Are we 3PL? Are we only shipping? And by the time leadership sees that report, it's already outdated. And again, like I said, it's not because people aren't doing their jobs, it's because the systems have never been designed to work together. And that's where bad decisions come from. It's not bad people, but it's bad information across your different tools. And the goal of a modern ERP isn't to replace all of these tools you use. Some of them really do help build your business and they can be the lifeblood, but it's helping decide which system owns what and also bring them together. A lot of ERPs can integrate with other tools. Sometimes it depends if they're willing to play ball. Does anyone here use auto quotes? There you go. So sometimes certain tools want a lot of money to help you integrate into your proprietary software. So you might have some gaps there. There are workarounds. I know MAFSI offers a solution where they do a nightly export. So you could always run some type of AI automation to load that into your tool and still use that as a supporting platform. Maybe you have a CRM that you're really in love with, but you want to use your ERP to track inventories, orders. You can actually pull data from most CRMs, like a Rep Fabric or a Rev, will help integrate into your ERP process. So what I'm saying here holistically is, you don't always have to take the leap and just remove everything you have today, but you can use an ERP as that middle man or that backbone for your organization, as well as getting some really cool features that you're going to see today. So what is Business Central? What are all these fancy terms that I just said in that whole diatribe I've been on? At its core, Microsoft 365 Business Central is a modern, small to mid-sized business ERP. Does anyone know what ERP stands for? It's an
enterprise something and reporting. Anyhow,
no, it's good try. You got enterprise resource planner. So what does that really mean at its core? You have multiple different resources in your business. You have your enterprise, your organization. How do you bring all these tools together and make it flow consistently? One of the cool things you're going to see with Business Central is everything's audited. If you were to do a sales order to a purchase order that's going to move items in your inventory or warehouse, that's all going to run through your GL and your chart of accounts, and you can follow that to its T. And if something changes, you'll be able to see that. It has AI built into it automatically because it's using Microsoft Copilot. But essentially what it does is it helps bring all these things together, from financial management, project management, operations, so you can do job tracking right on it, HR, self-service, you can run payroll from an ERP. All these things sound great, right? But remember, they take time to set up. It has built-in reporting analytics, it has supply chain management. You can have an assembly bomb. So we do a lot in plumbing, and some of our customers sell kits, for example. So if you want to buy a water heater, it'll also come with a pipe fitting and certain PEX and everything. They can put that as one type of item, and when they invoice it, it breaks it all apart into different items, and then pulls it from their warehouse, automatically creates a shipping label, and then puts a pick inside of their warehouse. That's just one use case of how you can really automate workflows with it. It also has sales and service management. There is a CRM component of it, but I'm going to be very honest, when it comes to Business Central, its CRM kind of sucks. So what I see a lot of reps do is they'll still work with like a Rev or a Salesforce or even a Rep Fabric, and they'll pull their CRM data into it. Now the cool thing about Business Central is it already comes with all of these different products inside of it. Most ERPs, like an SAP, a NetSuite, and Oracle, you have to buy these as individual components for your workforce. So you can still get the full kit and caboodle, but you need each individual item, you're going to pay for it. Business Central comes with all of it, it's just a setup that you have to integrate and figure out how to deploy it. Any questions so far? I know we're going through a lot of information right now.
You know, if you're not carrying inventory or manufacturing something, you know, I mean, most of our items are sales and quote format.
Yeah.
You know, we may not need the full circle.
Yep, right? You just use parts of it.
And then I also feel like ERP systems like Epicor, everything, seem to like slow a factory down to a screeching halt when they ever make a changeover. How painful is this changeover?
The changeover to move to an ERP?
Oh yeah.
If it's done improperly, very painful.
Yeah.
If it's done properly with the right adoption, the right planning, it's very seamless. We worked with a rep agency out in the Midwest, again on the plumbing side, who deployed Business Central, and they did inventory the items on trucks. It was about a year deployment, but we took it slow, we implemented, we tested, we built, we migrated their accounting system, we migrated their inventory management, which was all done through Excel, we migrated their CRM, which they were using Salesforce at the time, and now they're running seamlessly and much more efficiently. So a lot of ERP systems people get afraid of after they invest and they jump out of it because they picked the wrong partner. There's a lot of truth into that. You have to be careful of who you're working with. I'm not saying it's me, even so to say, but whoever you're working with, there's a big trust there. You're essentially trusting with every aspect of your business to be able to turn it into some technical aspect.
Was the plumbing person that you were dealing with, plumbing rep, also carrying stock?
Yes. They had 50% buy sell, 50% commissionable sales. So we have consigned inventory in their system. You can also put inventory as a service, so you can put service dollars on it. You can have resources with amounts tied to their head. And when you create an invoice or a purchase order, it'll all pull in. Everything in an ERP is truly customizable. That's what it's built for, but it comes down to what do you want your cost to be and how much do you need to customize it. A lot of people start smaller in the beginning. They'll add a couple little bells and whistles, maybe complete one process, like we're gonna focus on sales and accounting and integrate our CRM or create one, then we'll bolt on these other tools slowly over the next couple of years. But it does give you that capability instead of having to shop. One of the cool things too about Business Central is the monthly cost is pretty cheap. It's $8 per user to access it, and then for a full accounting user, it's $60 a month. Someone in the warehouse, it's $100 a month. But most people aren't going to need a full warehouse. It's like a warehouse manager who's printing picks and puts and assigning bin codes and items and everything. Most people are going to be at that $8. So compared to like an SAP, a NetSuite, Oracle, it's your cheapest month to month. It's a little bit more expensive to deploy and set up.
But that would be on top of like having Salesforce.
Yes, if you did have a Salesforce solution. So if you were like, hey, I want to run two different CRMs together, then yes. Now, there is another CRM product in the Microsoft realm. It's called MAFSI26 Sales Hub, and that is truly Microsoft's big boy ERP. So I mentioned Business Central. It's their small one. It has all these components. Microsoft does have a competitor to SAP. Those are for your like Fortune 100s, Fortune 500 customers, where you can buy each one of these services. It's way more customizable, way more expensive. A lot of what I see is people only buy the CRM component of that big boy ERP and integrate it into BC. Because it's in the same ecosystem.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to. If you want to keep a Rev or a Rev Fabric or whatever it is today, you can pull that data in typically. The only time I don't see it is if it's like a really outdated platform that doesn't offer APIs, like something that was invented years ago, or it's like an auto post who wants to charge you more than you could ever imagine with your API. Good questions. I'm just going to put myself on Do Not Disturb. There's going to be a lot of problems here. You can still see my screen? Perfect. All right. So what should an ERP own and what should an ERP own? We talked about this actually a little bit, but this is actually one of probably the most important questions is, what is the role of an ERP? And an ERP is meant to be a system that reps live in day to day, and it shouldn't be its job to be the system of record for every single aspect of the business. So let's start with an ERP should own. An ERP should own orders and order status. When something is sold, shipped, invoiced, and adjusted, it needs to be placed in one source of truth. It should own inventory and availability. It should own purchasing and fulfillment, commissions and financials, and it should own its own core reporting, giving leadership real-time trusted views. Now, it's important. What is important about ERP that it shouldn't own is it shouldn't replace tools that you already use every day to manage relationships, like potentially CRM activities, notes, and follow-ups. It shouldn't replace advanced quoting for manufacturer-specific CPQ tools that are already doing their job very well. We hinted on that a little bit. And when it comes to Business Centrals for rep agencies, as you can see here, Business Central brings together the core capabilities rep agencies rely on to manage their entire order to cash lifecycle without switching systems together. It all starts with sales orders, then it moves into inventory visibility, then we have manufacturing and supply, purchase orders and POS, reporting and insights, and more. When it comes to Business Central for inventory, does anyone here have buy, sell, or have a warehouse? No? All right, let's take this. When it comes to supply chain, or anyone doing supply chain, 3PL, trucking logistics, all right, let's take this. Let's go to live now. I was expecting a little bit more manufacturers to jump into this. I know this industry is a little bit different when it comes to ERPs because of how siloed you are, but I do know one of our customers that we are working with, like Thermal, they actually have Business Central, they integrate with it, and they still use some of these other aspects, but they love using this. They developed an ERP about 10 years ago. The predecessor to this tool was called something called Dynamics SL, or Navision, if you've ever heard of them, pretty outdated products. They kept moving to this cycle. Anyways, I'm not going to get too nerdy.
So you said Stephanie's using?
Yeah, she uses Business Central, but not for every aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, she'd be a good fellow colleague to talk to about the pros and cons around it. What are we using for accounting tools today? We'll start there. QuickBooks.
Sage.
Sage. That's what we migrated off for our plumbing customer. They hate it. You like Sage?
We're getting rid of it.
Okay. You know, do you have a choice? Do you have a destination?
that's why I'm sitting here.
Okay, gotcha. And how about you, my friend?
I don't know what we use.
Some accounting tool?
Yeah, I'm in the eventually gonna take over phase. And
Gotcha.
I'm a stubborn guy and then show me how that's going.
Yep. So like I said, one thing you gotta consider is scalability. You don't have to use every aspect. You can use this as purely just an accounting tool if you want. The way that this works is it's all role-based access. You can configure what people see, what you see, and what the customers, or excuse me, your sales force can see. So up here in the top right-hand corner, you're not seeing that? Let's fix that.
That's a simple system.
Mouse. How about now?
Yep.
Have a moment. Let's try it again. Good?
Yeah.
Good. So this is the home page. Is anyone here Microsoft customers? We use Microsoft 365? Okay. So on your Microsoft homepage, if you do have Business Central, you have the license and it's deployed, it'll be right within your Microsoft app ecosystem. So if you've ever seen this homepage, Business Central will show up right here, or you can go and you can interact with it. You can also access it via a direct link by going to businesscentral.dynamics.com. Now this is a homepage for the view of a business manager. Again, depending on the roles, if it's your sales force, depending on what part of your operation is in here, that person would only see what access you're giving them and to which components. So I have access to everything, so I'm demoing today. If I were to go to my settings here, right now I'm in business manager evaluation mode, which just kind of gives me a good insight of everything, but somebody that might manage inventory will only be in the inventory mode, or manufacturing, or only doing payables, project manager that's tracking jobs or specifications for jobs, sales order processor will only see sales orders, purchase orders, and be able to run those through. So if someone submitted a sales order from the sales team and you're in a sales order role, you only look at your sales order and you'll apply those to the chain. Team members are your kind of everyday users. But let's take a look at some of those major pillars and what they do. And I don't want to get too crazy into this. I almost want to just give you a flavor and showcase some of the capabilities and give you the art of the possible. And if you want to learn more, that's where you can set up some free discovery with us, because there's a lot that this can do, and I don't have time to go through everything today. But let's go ahead and start with customers. Inside of your ERP, you have a customer's attribute that always starts with our customers here, and you can create different customer cards pretty easily. I can see some quick hitters on the right-hand side for what's going on with my customers, so it gives me some good insights. When I click down to a customer, like trade research, I can go through and see what fields are specified on this particular card. I can see the customer's number, the name, I can give a credit limit to that customer, block, what their balances do. I can see all of that based on a purchase order. It's all flowing and living together. Give the customer a name, set special invoicing for that customer if I wanted to, and different ship-to addresses. So if they did have inventory assigned to them, it would automatically create a warehouse pick or put. I can set up special payments. I can integrate this with different payroll systems. There's pretty much any modern company you can integrate with your ERP if you need to. We also have shipping items here, so we can set specific shipping addresses, and then we can get some high-level statistics about this customer and how they're performing. So I don't need to run manual reports. Now we're just looking at the customer level here. I could also send an email right from our system, merge them if they got acquired. I can look at different items that are linked to the customer here, like related history, prices, any sales order, payment percentages, and any documents like quotes, invoices, orders that might be related to that customer. So right here I can see, okay, trade research has an invoice, the posting date was 3/30/2026, the due date, and what that amount is. I can even click on that invoice itself, see that there was 2 on that single one, they're buying an Athens desk, even look at that invoice itself. Show the document. We're gonna get a little bit more deeper into this and see all the details from that invoice. We can even print that invoice and send it right from the system. We can view it, prepare it, have an e-document. Let's go ahead and preview this invoice quickly. You can customize this too, put your letterhead on it. Right now we're in a demo environment, so this is kind of just giving a high level look at what the system's already been created. We'll give this a second to render the report. And we can see that we have our draft invoice here right in the system. There's also ways to automate this so it automatically sends out, but it's again all living within our ERP. So let's jump off that customer card. Let's take a look at some other stuff here really quickly. If we want to get a full look at all of our different tools, we can click our three little lines here at the top and see all the different tools inside of our ERP toolkit that we have access to. So we talked about those different pillars a moment ago. When it comes to sales, you can configure custom sales orders, sales quotes, sales invoices. When it comes to finance, you can set up your chart of accounts, your GL. So if we were to take a look at our GL in a second, we'll hop over to that. You can add vendors here, special pricing, items that you're buying by vendors, and purchase orders. You can also go ahead and see your cash flow forecast, and you can integrate with like a Shopify or e-commerce if you had one. If we take a look at our chart of accounts, this is kind of the lifeblood of any financial system. This is where you're going to set up how your business is performing, what's in your chart of accounts. Here I can have my balance sheet, my fixed assets, my liabilities, machinery or equipment, services could be part of our chart of accounts. Very easy to set up. I can see those balances, and you can also share this with an accountant, and they can access the system for free when they're helping you reconcile our closure books. If I go into any one of these accounts, like resale items, and I can see we have a negative balance, I can take a look at what that negative balance is. The items here, so again, like I said, everything flows holistically together. So I can see what's occurring in this chart account, all of the different documents that are being posted, the description of it, the cost. It is great for sending both invoices and being able to understand how your business is performing, why you may have debts or credits, and more. If you're doing inventory, I've seen a lot of guys set up like inventory accounts here, the word I'm looking for is, I'll come back to me later. Any questions on the chart account so far? Nope. All right. So we looked at customers. Let's take a look at vendors really quickly. This is where we could set up something very similar to our customers. I could have all my vendors who I'm buying products from. I could take a look at like Fabricant, for example, here. I can look at their vendor card. I get my state statistics on the right-hand side. I can see the balance, what we're purchasing from them. I can look at our invoice details. We'll actually create a sales order in just a minute, but I think we kind of get the idea with vendors and customers and how we can access that information. Items is where everything comes down to and what you're selling. So again, you don't need to have actual physical inventory. You can put items in here. You can put services in here. If I take a look at an item, this is kind of built more towards selling furniture. I could look at an Athens desk here as an inventory item. We don't have to have a quantity on hand if we're not using actual inventory. We can sell it by pieces, or if it was actually an assembly or we were selling as like a packing list, we could have multiple items roll up into that one. So we put it on our sales order. It all comes down to multiple broken out items. We can change the type of it, so it could be inventory or service. So when we're building our invoice, we can choose multiple different types. We can see where it's located if we are keeping physical inventory. We can choose the way that it's costing. So first in, first out. Is it specific or standard? We have different posting groups on where it will post to our general ledger and our chart of accounts. We also have prices and sales that we can look at. What is the price for this? But remember, I can set specific customer pricing if I needed to. We have replenishment, where we can have that automatically replenish or submit a purchase order if we're running out of stock or we hit certain levels. And then we also have rate planning, where we have reorder points like I had mentioned just a moment ago. Any questions about items and how that's working so far? No? One cool thing I was talking a moment ago, actually with Stephanie, she uses this platform. She says, I get invoices all the time via email. Is there a way that I can have those automatically just get right into my system? So she gets that sent to her with AI and Microsoft Copilot. There's actually these agents you can set up, like you see on the right-hand side, which you can hook up to a mailbox, and it'll automatically read that PDF because they have built-in OCR technology, and then you map it to the account or the location in Business Central you want it to go to, and it'll do it for you. Let's head back to our home page. Now, right on my home page too, before we dive into our bank accounts, which it does do bank account imports, depending on the bank you use, it can either be automatic when you're reconciling, or you can just export it and upload it through Excel. Here I can see my activities, my overdue purchase order, I can see all my sales quotes, ready to quick tip. If I scroll down, I can get a high-level snapshot of my business performance, so it does have built-in insights for me, where I can take a look at sales by customer, and if you do use Power BI or any advanced analytics, you can embed them right into your system here. All right. So let's go ahead and actually do a sales order together. So everything starts with a sales order. Someone's going to go ahead and create it, and then after it gets picked up, we can actually run it through. But I'll create a new one here. Remember, you need to have some structure set up, and you have your customers created, your dependencies, your relationship. A lot of setup will go into this initially. But I could go ahead and I could call on trade research, for example. That's going to grab all that customer detail for me and the default contact and the due date. Then I can come and I can choose my item number. Let's go and try to make this a little bit bigger. When I come down, I can choose what are we selling to trade research. So maybe they're buying an Athens desk with that unit price. I could come in and add another item. Maybe it's a resource, or again, it's a service or a charge. Maybe someone's actually doing some work here and we're charging hourly for it. So I have resources set up in my system, like Catherine Holt. How many hours Catherine's working? Let's say 5, selling 2 desks. So that'll automatically take Catherine's rate and calculate it. Catherine costs $154 right now, and I can actually change that if I needed to. See how it gives me the total now? So Catherine's $154 an hour. It does those calculations for me, and then I can even go ahead and see what that total is going to be. While I'm creating this sales order right now, it's going to show me if there's any tasks. So there's a tool called Avalara Tax that integrates with this that'll automatically create those tasks or tax numbers if you need to. We can update our invoice details, so we can change the payment terms. If invoices are running late, we can send out automatic reminders based on certain conditions that we set. We can even dive into shipping and billing. We are shipping, but I know we don't do a lot of that here, so I'll kind of breeze over that. And then once we're ready, we can even go ahead and we can then post this invoice. We can either choose to ship and invoice it, or we can just leave this as a sales order, and then the workflow of my organization could be that accounting is going to pick this up when the time's right. They come into this list and they see that sales order. Once it's ready, you can go through, you can choose it, you can then post it, you can choose just the invoice. It's going to create that for you. Probably choose the wrong one. And it's actually good because the system doesn't let you make mistakes. So you saw right there, it didn't want to pull it. Let's see what it doesn't want here. Quantity amount. So I probably don't have a warehouse on this one. Location code. Choose this previous warehouse. Definition had one. And it looks like maybe our team did something in this demo environment with warehousing, but we can hop over to a posted one and show you what it looks like once it is posted. So here we have all our posted ones. That means the system recognized it as being completed. Once I go ahead and open up our posted invoice here, I can see that it's run through. I can see what was posted and what was sold. And then I can even take a look at that. I can update it, or I could correct it if I need to, which will again update my chart of accounts and show me that correction at any point in time. We can print it, attach it as a PDF directly from here, email it from the system, and then take a look at that invoice. Does anyone have any questions about the sales order process, the invoicing, how all this stuff is coming together? Is this pretty cool, or are these things helpful when you're looking at these kind of tools?
Absolutely.
I want to make sure I'm just steering us in the right direction.
Yes.
We're a small crowd, so I can ask these questions.
Yeah.
Awesome. And if there's things that you really want to focus on, or you have questions, we can take a deeper look into those type of items. Another thing this can do is employee management. So if we did HR, it can also do payroll. So I can head over to employees over here. I can take a look at Esther's an employee, a designer. If I open up Esther's card, I can start to add employees into my system. I can see Esther's first name, last name. I can even tie her social security in here, her private phone number. We could set up administrational units on here. Who reports to her, her employment date, is she active or is she inactive? Does anyone roll up to her? What's her personnel, her birthday, social security, like I told you, where you can see that there's obviously no social security for Esther. That's a picture you see on the Christmas tree when you don't forget to change the picture to ornament. We also have our payments here. And then we have our payroll. So how are we paying her? What's her payroll system? If you use like an ADP or like a different payroll, you can integrate them into here and it can pay right through it. I would ask the question, why would you pay for something twice? Because the ADP can be very expensive, but if you don't want to change everything all at once, you can do that. If you have a check printer, you can print checks with this as well and hook that up. Questions about employee management?
We use a third party. Could that integrate into this? I mean, if they have
Do you know who it is?
Just works.
Just works.
Just Works. I guess it depends like what system they have. I would probably say yes for the most part. Or you may look to start to manage it in-house if that's something that you're looking to kind of help save that cost depending on what you pay them a year. Maybe now you configure this and you hire someone that can run that payroll for you because you have the capabilities to. If you want to keep them, it could be as simple as giving them access to the system and then showing them how to run the payroll through here and then letting them still print the checks on their end. It's kind of a question that needs quite a bit more discovery. And that's why, again, choosing the right partner in the beginning and asking all these things is very important. Most of these SOWs I see that go out should be between like 30 and 60 pages, really highlighting what is happening in this type of tool. You want people to be very specific, because if they aren't, then they're capturing their needs. If it's blanket, I would run as fast as you can for it.
So if we're gonna transfer from ADP using this, why pay for it twice, like you said?
Yeah.
Is there a way to lock it down so whoever might be maybe pushing the button to say trigger the paychecks or whatever, that they can't see salary?
Yep, definitely. It would take some configuration. Every single attribute, every single field, every component in this system can be changed and modified. You can add your own. It is fully stripped down to the point where you can even create your own custom code to create custom pages and custom aspects. So really the art of the possible is almost unlimited with this. It just comes down to cost at that point. That's a simple workflow. I'd probably say a couple extra $1,000 in the build out, maybe 1,000 or two, but yes, the answer, short answer. You can, like some employees only have access to submit timesheets.
Right.
So they come in and all they have is a timesheet card and they're adding the projects or jobs. Like I said, it does have a CRM component to it. I don't think it's the best, but you could track opportunities if you don't have a CRM today. I mean, heck, it's somewhere to start. You have the options in here. It does integrate with Outlook. It's not as rep specific as like a Rep Fabric or a Rev, for example. Let's go check out our opportunities. And I think we should start seeing kind of pretty quickly how much we can do with a system like this. I can see on the right-hand side, all of our opportunities that are closed, one. So if I'm thinking of my sales cycle, my sales team can come in here, they can add their opportunities, they can put the creation date, assign an employee that we just looked at to one of these opportunities, add all the action items from this opportunity. They can then turn it into a sales quote. That quote can then go out. If that quote is approved, you can go to a sales order. Your team can run that through financials. So if I came in here, I can see, all right, we push this to a sales quote. I don't think it was actually assigned to this one, so none was actually generated. Let's go to actions, functions. We could even print this opportunity if we wanted to and preview it. And we could use that for in-house tracking or however we want to use that content. This one was one, so if we actually come back, let's go to one that's in progress here. So here we have an in progress one. I can click create sales quote. This one's not completed or closed. So now this just changed it right to a quote, pulled them items over. I can go through and I can add additional if I needed to. And then I can turn this right into an invoice or right into an order from the screen. So Do I want to convert this quote to an order? So I think you can see that kind of transactional journey when you're walking through each step of that sales cycle with this product.
The red asterisk is a field that you need to populate.
Correct. So this is where I'm tying it back to our opportunity. And then I can see our opportunity. Now we push it to a sales order, and then that sales team can pick it up. And if you did have a different system, like again, a Salesforce or a revenue of opportunities there, you can have them flow into here. I think that's a little bit redundant. Maybe once that opportunity is closed or won, then it triggers to create a sales order in the system. When you're using third-party CRMs and you want to have a little bit more complex workflow, you're going to have to define those attributes. So it's a little bit more complex than just like right off the cuff, but it's possible. Let's see what else we can use for us. So let's dive into some of our reports that we can get from our system. So if I want to take a look at like cash flow forecasts or bank accounts or payment journals, I can jump into a cash flow management forecast here, and I can take a look at our report. Let's get a cash flow list, and let's preview this report. So right here, it's going to show me going right through without having to export to Excel, really dive deep, that we can see what our liquidity is, our receivables, our sales orders, what that's tied to. Now I specified for one date, so it's only pulling a short range of data, but these reports are easily accessible, and you don't have to have third-party tools to access this type of information. And out of the box, there is about 23, 24 reports that you can get from financial reports, a sales analysis, a sales report, a finance report, all the way down to your projects. Does anybody here track jobs? Is that something useful to look at for us?
We track quotes.
Quotes, but not jobs.
You know, I think it's project, don't
Yeah, they're the same.
Yeah, they're the same.
Opportunities.
we? Opportunities.
Yeah.
So like right here, if I had an actual job that I was doing, there is a job list or a project list that we can use. So I can go through and we'll take a look at an existing one. But I have this project right here for an installation of S200 semi-automatics, where you can actually set the phase on the job, the start date, the close date, the budget. You can do this for internal project tracking too, if you want to just put this against like a house cost, for example. And I can go through and I can create this job. I can do a standard WBS structure, so work breakdown structure. And then I can even turn items from this job into a quote, where I put a quote and I tie it all through here. It goes right to our sales invoice. Similar to the process I showed you earlier, but starting from a project instead of a sales order. And then from the project, it goes to an order, to a quote, and so on and so forth. You also have some AI that's built right in, excuse me, using Microsoft Copilot. So you can use this to help start summarizing your actual project here, giving you better insights into how it's performing. This would be good for quite larger projects. And projects are cool because it's easy to tie resource costs to them, so we use them internally. We do a lot of SOW-based work and project-based work, so I can see all my resources, my contractors, my employee costs, and like the internal project manager, and any assets, services, subscriptions that we're selling on it can all be created in here and tied to that project too. And then we can even send a quote for that project, so maybe we're speccing it out, and we want to create it and then send that through. If we took a look at our bank accounts, like I said, there is automatic bank account imports and exports. If you set it up, so like right here, I have my checkings and savings account. I can click on my checkings, for example, add the bank account routing, bank account number. I can see our bank account statements, link it live, get into different bank account dimensions, so how different type of content might automatically flow to a certain part of our chart of accounts. Do our receivables and import those bank transactions to here. If we go to our purchasing section too, this is where we can see our purchase orders and purchase quotes, very similar to a sales order, but instead we're purchasing it. We can even have this automatically send those purchase orders out if we needed to. I can choose who our vendor is. If we look at one of our purchase order here, like Fabrichem, who the contact is and what we're buying from them. And we can even use 3PL for the system if we needed to. And I can see some of my vendor statistics here on the right-hand side. Let's check out our payment section. So if we go to reconcile here, let's go to transactions. So we go to our bank account reconciliation. I can come right into our bank here, and I can see all the bank lines that are coming in versus what's in our actual ledger, so like a sales order, and I can match these up and find that transaction amount, and I can reconcile right from this one window. I can do automatic reconciliation. I can try to do match automatically, which will find those. So right here, I found 2 items that can be reconciled automatically, making my financial process much easier, much quicker. So I know we have about 20 minutes left, and again, I want to make this as fruitful as possible. Is there anything we want to see out of the ERP or questions we have right now?
So out of the box, you've given us a live demo. How much has been built into this versus what's available out of the box?
For a live demo or
Just as a comparison, like how much time and energy have you put into the background of what you're showing us?
Great question. So Microsoft offers services for partners where we can actually just spin up a demo environment. So it takes me about 10 minutes to create one of these. So does that help answer?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so for this system, I don't have to put anything into it. If I was doing like a manufacturer-specific demo, and I wanted to show like a manufacturing BOM, like a production BOM, showing like machine time all the way through, that could take me about 2 to 3 hours to build that one demo content. But I know the system and we have developers, so it's a little quicker.
Right.
To do what we did for our customer who had consigned inventory and they're just doing their sales order process, moving from Sage, using it as a CRM, it was about $100,000 to get them up and running. Now I've seen these go from 100,000 to 1 million, depending on how crazy you want to go.
Right.
I always tell people to go a little bit easy. And I always just be careful because a lot of us reps and even some of us manufacturers, we'll get sucked into a NetSuite or an SAP or an Oracle, which are like your Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies doing hundreds of $1 million in revenue a year, and they're the most costly to implement. I know one rep agency spent $1 million on Acumatica, where he could have gotten the same service in a tool like this for 200 grand. So definitely be careful when you're investigating these systems and work with trusted partners. If you know someone in your industry that has one already, ask them what they like, what the pros and cons are. Don't pull trigger very quickly if you don't know what you're looking for. Just because you hear the term I need something that's shiny and brilliant, you can do all these things, might not be the time for you. Or it could be, and it may be worth taking that leap. But you also should be evaluating other processes internally that you can use to reduce cost or repurpose employees to use a system like this to automate workflows. One of the cool things about this, though, is I kind of mentioned that AI solution, so you can embed these agents right in here and ask questions and dive right into certain aspects. And I can activate this payables agent here, and right here with this agent that's built by Microsoft, it says this agent reads all PDF attachments from a mailbox and automatically adjusts it to certain items inside your ERP. You also have a Copilot here at the top, where you can ask it questions like, show me the latest invoices. So for people in your organization that may not actually even be in the ERP, but just want to get information from it, you have the capability of AI built right into it. I know other ERPs today, like Acumatica, NetSuite, some of the names I mentioned, their AI is not as far as Microsoft has come with it. But I mean, you're talking Microsoft being a trillion-dollar business that already is in the AI sector. So you can ask questions like right here, the latest 3 invoices, Alpine Ski House, School of Fine Art, Trade Research. I can click on it and it brings me right to that location in the system. I could say, what were my top selling 5 items last year? Well, that might not pull last year. I don't have it in this demo, but you can do commissions tracking in here as well. It does take a little bit of extra setup, but there's ways to bring those commission statements in. Then you can also do consigned inventory if you do have consigned inventory. See, AI is not perfect, so sometimes it gets a little confused. But I think we get the gist of, we do have an AI, and we have these agents which are specific to particular tasks, like that automatic invoice scanning using OCR technology. So some people go out and they'll spend, $20,000, $30,000 to build their own OCR, but you have the ERP, so that could be cost savings in using a system like this. And you're saying, hey, I want to scan my invoices already. I'm also thinking of moving my accounting system, do it all in one go here. So let's go back to all these items. While we wrap up here, I know we have 15 minutes, is there anything that we want to see from what I'm showing on the screen here out of everything that's on there that I can maybe talk to you a little bit more? That really stands out? Nope. So we'll start to wrap up. I'll get you guys out of here a little bit earlier. One of the challenges that reps do face, unlike manufacturers, is a lot of your business is transactional. So if you wanted just to deploy, let's say, the accounting side of this and nothing else, you're probably looking about $20,000, $25,000 just for the accounting sides. And when you start looking at other stuff, it really gets custom. But remember, you don't have to use everything. If you want to have it for scalability in the future, choose one model, and then you can start to think about how you incorporate other platforms into it. Let's pull back up our presentation really quickly. Let me see our screen. Oh, didn't get over to the up here. Okay. So when we do talk about AI in Business Central, because that's the hot topic, it's important to know how we can even take our information further. It's not really just about two features tucked into one system. It's about how both AI and automation can reshape the way your entire business runs. It can start forecasting demand. Business Central can use AI to look at past sales, to look at seasonality, even external market trends, so that you can predict what your customers will need before they even ask for it. And that means you're not trying to cash up an excess inventory. You're also not leaving customers waiting because you ran out of stock. Then you have automation. Every manufacturer has dozens of repetitive tasks, things like approvals, data entry, running routine reports. These don't add value, but they eat up your time, where AI can help you with that. From there, we can go into our production optimization. AI in both Business Central can help you allocate resources more efficiently. It looks at your capacity and your routing. AI also delivers smart insights. And the key thing about this is you don't need to be a data analyst to use it. You can literally ask it any question about your company if you do have this set up properly. So I'm going to put up some of our contact information. If you have any questions about setting up an ERP, or if you want to dive a little bit deeper, feel free to reach out to me, and we're happy to be your business consultant, or stop by our booth and we can show you a little bit more about how we build these systems and show you ways that we can connect data from multiple different platforms. And just to leave you with some stats here on how Business Central, it does help you reach more customers. The business application and sales service engines are here to give you more growth, both through that automation. There is 1 million, I believe it's 3 million different app source users that can allow you to connect different systems from ADP to other tools if you're not ready to make that jump yet. 97% of Fortune 100 companies use some type of Power Platform, and those are those automation aspects we're telling you about. It does help 50% of growth of small SMB users using Power Platform and these tools. There's been a 20% year-over-year growth for SMBs using Microsoft 365 Dynamics. These are all statistics that come directly from Microsoft. I didn't just make these up with ChatGPT. And 57% of Fortune 500 companies use Dynamics 365 to some capacity. So there is proof in the pudding, there's backing. I was a little bit off with my numbers earlier. I apologize. It's $70 for that financial user if you want them in there, $8 per user, and $100 if you need that warehouse access. And if there's any case studies that people want to look into, I do have a couple of different good ones for supply chain management, customer engagement, and what they have done in some of their background. I have use cases here when it comes to different industries all across the map. So happy to share these with you if you're looking for more information. And that's going to wrap it for me. I'll give everyone 10 minutes back.
Awesome, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.